I caught my wife, Maya, 26F, cheating on me, 27M, with my friend, Jack, 27M. Here's the story. We met when I was 22 at another friend's wedding. She was friends with the bride, and I was friends with the groom. They seated us together so we would get to know each other. When I first saw her, I was struck by her beauty. As we talked, we found out we had a lot in common and instantly connected. We spent the evening talking, dancing, and drinking. We even kissed on the dance floor. Our friends, the bride and groom, noticed and were excited about the match. We shrugged it off and continued with our night without exchanging numbers. A week later, I got a text from her, thanks to the bride who gave her my number. I said yes to her invitation, and we started a relationship. Our relationship was great, with only minor arguments. After dating for 2 years, I proposed to her, and we got married within the year. Our marriage was good for about a year, but then things started to go wrong just before our first anniversary. Little things began to bother me. Maya became more protective of her phone, had more frequent girls' nights out, and our sex life dwindled. I brought up these issues multiple times, but she brushed them off, saying I was just being insecure. It felt like my feelings and concerns didn't matter to her. As a result, I became colder towards her. I stopped giving her a goodbye kiss when I left for work, and unless it was something important, we hardly spoke. One night, while my wife Maya was sleeping, I took her phone and laptop to check her texts, emails, and messenger apps but found nothing. After reading similar stories online, I decided to check her car. I found her car keys, searched the car, and discovered a second phone. At that moment, I knew what was going on, but I wanted all the evidence before confronting her. I didn't want her to claim it only happened once or make up some excuse. I looked through the second phone and found only one contact. I read every message and saved every photo. I connected the phone to my computer and printed out all the evidence. That night, I also researched divorce lawyers, spending hours in my home office reading lawyer bios. I found one I liked and sent an email, but since it was Saturday, he wasn't in the office. Next, I wanted to know who the other guy was. I took my phone and typed the number from the second phone, planning to call and pretend to be from Spectrum, since most people have Spectrum. When Jack's contact popped up, it took me a minute to put 2 and 2 together. Once I realized it was Jack, I exploded with anger, yelling and cursing in my office. My wife opened the door to check on me. When I saw her, I told her to get the hell out. She closed the door and went to our room. I had never cursed at my wife or raised my voice above a normal volume before. All day, I stayed in my office silently fuming and staring at the wall. I called Ted, the groom from the wedding where I met Mia, and asked him to join me for a drink. He could tell something was wrong and asked if I was okay. I told him I wasn't and really needed a drink. Without another word, I took all the printouts of the evidence and headed to the bar. I got there first and ordered 4 shots of Jack Daniels and a beer. By the time Ted arrived, I was on my last shot. He asked what was going on, and I told him directly that Maya was cheating. He was sympathetic, and when I revealed it was with Jack, he got visibly upset. Ted had introduced me to Jack, and all he could say was "I'm sorry" over and over. Jack and I were never super close. We were friendly at gatherings but didn't hang out. I asked Ted not to mention this to anyone, including his wife, and to tell her if she asked that I was having work problems. He agreed, and we spent the night drinking and talking. I called an Uber and got home around 3:00 a.m. When I checked my phone, I saw missed calls and texts from Mia, asking where I was and if I was okay. When I got home, Maya was asleep on the couch. I went straight to bed. In the morning, I saw her next to me in bed, got dressed, and left the house to pick up my car and go to my office. I buried myself in work all day and returned home around 10 p.m. To my surprise, Maya was there to greet me and had made dinner. She asked if I wanted her to heat it up, but I declined and went to bed. Mia followed me, asking what was wrong. I told her to leave me alone because I wanted to sleep. She kept pestering me until I snapped and yelled at her to stop and go away. The next morning, I received an email from the lawyer confirming our meeting later that day. I got ready and went downstairs to leave. Maya had made breakfast and wanted to talk. I made a small plate and sat down. She said I had been acting differently and wanted to know why. I told her work was stressful and it would soon be over. I finished eating and left for my office, counting down the minutes until my meeting with the lawyer. The lawyer asked to keep the evidence, but preferred he just make copies since I hadn't confronted my wife yet and didn't want to hear her excuses. He agreed and had his assistant make copies. When I asked when she'd be served with divorce papers, he said in about 2 weeks. I thanked him and left. When I got home to confront Mia, she wasn't there. I called her twice with no answer, then texted, "I don't care if you're with Jack right now. Get home, we need to talk." She called back almost immediately, asking what I was talking about. I just told her to get home now. She arrived about 15 minutes later. I said, "Wow, 15 minutes. That's about the distance between here and Jack's place, isn't it?" She looked confused. I waited for her to gather herself, but she just stared at me. I asked, "Well, nothing to say." She tried to deny and gaslight me, then started to insult me. I slammed my fist on the table to shut her up and pulled out the evidence. I showed her the stack of printouts, then went through each one, page by page. She started crying, asking me to stop and apologizing, saying she loved me. I said, "What happened to that energy you had before? You were so adamant about degrading and insulting me just a minute ago." She tried to hug me and kept apologizing. I put my hand out and said, "Don't touch me." She offered to go to the bedroom and do whatever I wanted. I looked her in the eyes and said, "Sweetheart, I will never touch you again. Do you want to know who else has these photos and messages? My lawyer. I'm divorcing you. Now, get a bag, gather your clothes, and get the hell out of my house." That was 3 days ago, and I haven't heard from Mia. Sorry for the long post and any spelling errors. I'm curious about what to expect from here, and I appreciate you reading. Update 1. After posting the first part of this, I received a lot of advice and followed most of it. This morning, I started to take control of my life. I scheduled a doctor's appointment to get checked for STDs, which is in 2 days. Next, I contacted the people close to me, including my father and a few friends. They have all been very supportive, offering advice and help, but I declined as I have things under control. Then, I reached out to Maya's family. I sent a text to her parents, thanking them for welcoming me into their family and expressing gratitude for all they had done for me. I informed them that Maya and I are getting divorced and that I would miss them, not really, as they were very suffocating. I told them to feel free to ask any questions. They didn't respond for a while, so I moved on to Maya's sister. This was difficult because her sister and I were good friends, and I knew it would affect our friendship. I texted her, explaining that Maya and I are getting a divorce, and thanked her for accepting me as a brother. I let her know I would be around if she ever needed anything. Around the time I sent the text, Maya's parents responded. Here's how the conversation went. Parents, we are so sorry to hear this. What happened? Why hasn't Maya said anything to us? Me, Maya has been in at least a year-long affair. I suspect it started before our wedding. I'm unsure why she hasn't reached out, but I think you should call her. She left the house, and I figured she would have gone to you. Parents, no, we haven't heard from her. We'll call her. Thanks for letting us know. Are you sure she was having an affair? Me, I am positive. I found their texts. Parents, we're so sorry that she did that. We'll try and get in touch with her. After dealing with her family, I moved on to Jack's fiancé. I can't remember if I mentioned that Jack is engaged in the first part, but it came up in some comments. I thought this would be difficult and that Maya and Jack might have conspired some master plan, but either Maya didn't tell them I found out or they're just clueless. I sent her a text around 2 p.m. asking if we could meet for coffee or something. By 2:05, she agreed and told me to meet her at a hipster coffee shop across from her work at 2:30. I arrived at the coffee shop first, ordered a terrible coffee, and waited. Jack's fiancé showed up a few minutes later, ordered her drink, and joined me. I told her bluntly that Jack had been cheating on her with my wife for over a year. She was obviously shocked, so I explained that I found out a few days ago and needed time to start the divorce process and deal with my own emotions. She asked how I found out, so I told her everything from the first post. I then offered to show her the evidence, pulling out a binder with all the messages and photos. She skimmed through it, started to cry silently, and I told her she could take the binder if she wanted to confront Jack or use it to see if he would lie. She thanked me, took the binder, and walked out looking very defeated. I thanked him for his swift and thorough work. Shortly after, Emma called to inform me that Mia had been crying in her room all day. I explained to Emma that Maya was probably coming to terms with the gravity of her actions and the consequences she now faced. Emma then asked about my cabin trip, and we had a brief conversation about it before hanging up. Preparing for Maya's reaction, anticipating a confrontation, I prepared my house and myself for Maya's possible outbursts. I had Advil ready for the headache I expected from the inevitable confrontation and informed my friend, who agreed to come over if Maya showed up, acting as a witness if needed. I double-checked the functionality of the cameras inside and outside the house to ensure everything was recorded. Maya's outburst. As expected, about an hour after my last post, Maya arrived at the house, banging on the door and screaming to be let in. I immediately called my friend and Emma, alerting them to the situation. Maya was cursing my name, begging, and calling me every name imaginable. Surprisingly, I found myself laughing at the situation, realizing how little I truly knew her. Friend's arrival and escalation. My friend arrived with his wife, who was also Maya's friend. While my friend recorded the incident from his truck, his wife tried to calm Maya down, only to be slapped across the face by Mia. This act prompted my friend to call the police. Maya continued her tirade until the police arrived, at which point she tried to play the victim, claiming I had hit her and thrown her out of the house. Police intervention. When the police arrived, Maya's story started to unravel. My friend and his wife explained that Maya was yelling and banging on the door when they arrived. This testimony, along with the video evidence my friend recorded, helped clarify the situation to the officers. Maya's claims were unsubstantiated, and the police were able to see through her attempt to play the victim. Moving forward, this confrontation confirmed that Maya's emotional state was highly volatile and that my precautions were necessary. I'm grateful for the support from my friend and Emma during this turbulent time. I will continue to update everyone as the situation progresses. For now, I am focused on ensuring my safety and proceeding with the divorce as smoothly as possible. Thank you all for your continued support and advice. It has been invaluable during this difficult period. Stay tuned for further updates as I navigate this challenging chapter of my life. After the incident where Maya falsely accused me and was subsequently arrested, there have been significant developments. Legal proceedings. Maya's charges. Maya was charged with disturbing the peace, public intoxication, and a DUI after her erratic behavior and false accusations. This led to her spending the night in jail. Her lawyer has contacted mine to handle her legal representation, marking the official start of the divorce process. Emma's support. Emma, who has been a steadfast source of support, arrived at my house shortly after the incident with Mia. She stayed with me, offering comfort and solidarity during a challenging time. Emma even called her parents to seek assistance with bail, demonstrating her commitment to helping me navigate through the aftermath. Interaction with Jack's fiancé. Update on Jack's fiancé. I reached out to Jack's fiancé to check on her situation. She informed me that she has decided to end their relationship and has already had Jack's belongings packed and delivered to his house by her father and brother. Despite the understandable anger, she opted not to escalate the situation further, urging her family not to confront Jack physically. Support network. Jack's fiancé expressed gratitude for the support she's received from her close friends during this ordeal. I shared the link to my Reddit page with her, where she could see the support both she and I have received from the online community. Moving forward, cabin trip. After work on Friday, I raced home with plans to retreat to my cabin for the weekend. Emma was waiting in the driveway, intending to collect Mia's remaining belongings. Most of Maya's possessions were already packed, except for a few items, which I insisted be handled by a professional moving company to avoid any accusations of mishandling or damage. Emma's company. Emma decided to join me on the trip to the cabin after dropping off Mia's clothes. We locked at the house and headed out together, providing me with much-needed company and support during what has been a tumultuous period. Conclusion. These updates reflect a shift towards legal proceedings and closure in my relationship with Mia, as well as the continued support and understanding I've received from Emma and others. I am grateful for everyone who has offered advice and encouragement throughout this journey. After that, I took a week to drink, smoke cigars, and listen to music on my back porch. I know I should stay sober and keep a level head, but I needed time to process everything. I packed up most of Mia's things, including clothes, jewelry, our wedding book, and any photos with her in them. If and when she comes back for her stuff, I want her out of the house as quickly as possible. I didn't ruin her clothes or break anything except for a few picture frames. I've told everyone I needed to inform about the situation. My doctor's appointment is scheduled, my lawyer is working on the divorce, and 90% of Mia's things are packed. If she stays away, this might be the smoothest divorce ever. Update 2. Support from Emma. I've been missing in action for a while, focusing on my pity party of drinking. This is my first semi-sober moment since finding out about everything, and I feel numb. The only person who didn't respond to my messages was Mia's sister, Emma, who I was very close to. The night I wrote the last update, I continued drinking and passed out on my back patio. I woke up to the smell of breakfast. My first thought was that Mia had come back and thought breakfast would make up for everything. Ready for a fight, I got up, but to my surprise, it was Emma. She hugged me, led me to the table, and put a plate of food in front of me. As I ate, Emma apologized for everything. She said Mia had shown up at her house, claiming we were having problems that would be fine in a few days. When Emma asked why I was divorcing her, Mia broke down and told her everything, though she claimed it was a one-time thing and I was overreacting. I told Emma I had no intention of getting back with Mia, and if she was here to convince me otherwise, she was wasting her time. Emma reassured me that she was here for me, not for Mia. She said we were friends and she wouldn't abandon me, especially since I hadn't done anything wrong. I hugged her, feeling relieved that our friendship wasn't ruined. Emma stayed with me for 2 days and left this morning. As I was preparing to leave for my cabin, gathering my hunting and fishing equipment, she asked if she could join me. I told her it would be nice, but she should probably check in on her sister. She agreed, hugged me, and left. Thank you all for reading. Your advice is always appreciated. After returning from my cabin, where I successfully hunted a buck and caught some fish, I found myself in a more reflective and sober state. The time in nature helped clear my mind and prepare me for the challenges ahead. I received a call from my doctor confirming that I was clean of any STDs, which, while expected given the recent lack of intimacy with Mia, was still a relief. Supporting Jack's fiancée, I reached out to Jack's fiancée again and discovered she was staying with her family, presumably dealing with the fallout of Jack's infidelity. She later asked to meet for coffee, and we talked for about 2 hours at the same coffee shop. She was understandably confused and unsure about her next steps, torn between moving on or forgiving Jack. I offered her my perspective, emphasizing that after such a betrayal, forgiveness seemed nearly impossible to me. I stressed the importance of making her own decisions rather than letting her family's opinions dictate her actions. Jack's actions demonstrated a lack of respect and commitment, making him, in my eyes, unfit for marriage. I encouraged her to trust her gut feelings, as they are often right even when the heart and mind might be conflicted. Gratitude for Emma. Emma's support during this tough time has been invaluable. I want to make it clear that our relationship is purely platonic, as she's much younger than I am. Her presence and understanding have been a great comfort. I'm truly grateful for her friendship. Next steps. Now, I am waiting for the next steps in my divorce process. Mia remains out of contact, which makes things easier for me emotionally. I have packed her belongings and informed those close to me about the situation. I am committed to keeping my head clear and focusing on rebuilding my life post-divorce. To anyone going through a similar situation, my advice is to take things step by step. Prioritize what needs to be done. Find a lawyer, see a doctor, and inform your support network. Keep personal details off the internet and allow yourself time to process your emotions. Thank you all for the support and advice you've provided. It's been a guiding light during this dark time. Final thoughts. The journey through betrayal and divorce is arduous, but maintaining focus on personal goals and leaning on supportive friends can make it manageable. I hope sharing my experience offers some solace or guidance to others in similar situations. Thank you for reading and supporting me through this difficult time. The day Mia was served divorce papers at work, I received a message from my lawyer confirming the successful delivery. As I continue to navigate divorce proceedings and personal healing, I appreciate the community's ongoing support. Thank you for reading and standing with me through this challenging time. After enduring a tumultuous journey filled with challenges and legal battles, I am finally reaching the end of this chapter. Here's a summary of the recent developments. Legal proceedings and documentation. Response to Mia's claims. Shortly after the moving company transported Mia's belongings, her lawyer accused me of damaging her items and demanded $1,500 in compensation. My lawyer swiftly countered with all the meticulously documented evidence, videos, photos, and detailed records of the move, proving that no damage occurred. This evidence has been crucial in solidifying my position. Legal strategy. Throughout this process, I have diligently followed my lawyer's advice, documenting every interaction and piece of evidence meticulously. My lawyer has commended me for my thoroughness and preparedness. stating that my approach is exemplary and greatly strengthens our legal standing. Negotiation meeting. Recently, we had a negotiation meeting at a neutral lawyer's office. Maya and her lawyer were present. My lawyer presented our offer: half of the selling price of the home and half of the savings account, which reflects what Maya brought into the marriage. He reinforced that this offer was generous given the circumstances and the overwhelming evidence of Maya's infidelity and misconduct. Emotional closure. Facing Maya. During the meeting, Maya was visibly emotional and attempted to seek forgiveness. However, I remained resolute, emphasizing that her betrayal was irreparable. Her emotional display did not sway me, and she eventually signed the divorce papers. Moving forward. With the papers signed, the final steps involve selling the house. This will mark the conclusion of the divorce process, allowing me to move forward with closure and begin a new chapter. Gratitude to the community. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has followed my journey, offered advice, and supported me through this challenging time. Your encouragement and insights have been invaluable. While this may be my last update, I hope that sharing my experiences has helped others facing similar trials. Thank you once again for reading and standing by me. As I move forward, I carry with me the lessons learned and the strength gained from this experience. If there are any further developments, I will update you accordingly. Farewell, and may we all find peace and happiness in our journeys ahead.